This episode has been brought to you by DiceyGoblin.com, online board game retailer, where every board game is an award-winning board game. Hey everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today we've got the card close-up for Abyss. We're going to take a close look at every single card that comes in the game. The exception being the ally cards, because they all are the exact same thing over and over again. But all the Lord cards, all the location cards, we're going to take a look at all of them. I do want to point out that Abyss is for sale at DiceyGoblin.com, which is our sponsor. So be sure to check them out over there. Among other things, they do give a portion of their proceeds to nerdy fundraisers. They've got a good one going right now. You should check it out. So let's get right into the card close-up. All right, let's start off with the Seahorse race, which is in the Farmers Guild. This is an example of what their ally cards look like. Here we've got the Keeper, who costs 6 influence points. 3 total races are needed. It's going to give you 6 influence points at the end of the game, as well as a key for a location. Then we've got the Reaper. 7 influence points, 2 total races needed. It's going to give you 6 influence and a key as well. The Shepherd costs 8 influence, only 1 race is needed. 6 influence points is what she will give you, and a key. Here's the Miller. He costs 8 influence, 2 mandatory races, 10 influence points is what you'll get for him at the end of the game. The Aquaculturalist, 9 influence point, or it costs 9 influence points, total of 3 mandatory races, and 11 influence points is what he'll give you at the end of the game. And finally, the Landowner, 10 influence points, only 1 race is required, and 12 influence is what you'll get. Moving on to the Squid faction. These are going to be the Politicians. This is an example of their ally card. Here is the Opportunist. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that this faction, as well as all the other factions, are all going to have special powers. The Farmers didn't have any special powers, just relatively high influence. So here with the Opportunist, he's going to cost 6, 3 mandatory races, or 3 races total required, 5 influence, and a key. During your turn, you may discard a Lord from the court and replace it with the top one from the deck. Here is the Diplomat. 8 influence required, only 1 race. He gives you 5 influence and a key. When you recruit, you may use any race of your choice. You must still respect the number of races required. So this will free you up from the mandatory race restriction. The Treasurer costs 10 with 2 races total required. He's going to give you 5 influence and a key. The Treasurer, for you, the cost of recruiting Lords is reduced by 2. Here is the Schemer. 8 influence required, 3 races total, 6 influence is what he'll give you. You may discard one of your other free Lords and replace it with the top one from the deck. Here is the Corruptor. 10 influence is what's required, only 1 race total. 6 influence points is what he'll give you, and you can recruit a second Lord from the court by paying 5 pearls instead of its normal cost. And here is the Traitor, who is the most powerful. Well, he's tied, obviously, with the Corruptor and the Schemer. 6 is the highest influence you're going to get from Politicians. It costs 12, 3 races total, 6 influence, like I said. You can discard one of your other free Lords and replace it with any Lord from the court. That's a pretty powerful ability there. Moving on to the Crab faction, which are the Soldiers. Here's their ally card. Okay, the Tamer. She's going to cost you 6 influence points, 3 different races required. She's going to give you 4 and a key. When your opponents fight a monster, they earn the reward from the previous monster track space, so it makes fighting monsters less valuable for your opponents. Here is the Commander. Cost 8, only 1 faction required. Gives you 4 influence. He does give you a key. Your opponents can no longer hold more than 6 allies in their hand. Normally, you have an unlimited hand size. They must immediately discard any extras, so that can severely limit what your opponents are able to do while he's active. The Recruiter costs 10, 2 different races required, gives you 4 and a key. All recruitment costs for your opponents are increased by 2. The Hunter. All right, he's going to cost you 8 with 2 races required. He gives you 6. Steal a random monster token from the opponent of your choice. The Assassin. Costs you 10, only 1 race required, gives you 6. Each of your opponents must turn 1 lord of your choice 90 degrees. That lord counts only for influence points, so that would start canceling out any keys or powers that your opponent's lords might be using at the time. The Jailer costs you 6, 3 races required, gives you 7. Each of your opponents must discard 1 ally from their hand. The Seeker costs you 7, 2 different races required, gives you 7. Each of your opponents must return 2 pearls to the treasury. All right, here's the Jellyfish race. Here's their ally card. These are the mages and are my personal favorite faction in the game. The Shaman costs you 6, requires 3 different races, gives you 5, gives you a key. You are protected against the powers of military lords. Here is the Alchemist. Costs 7, only requires 1 race, gives you 5 and a key. When you request support from the council, add 2 stacks to your hand instead of 1. The Oracle costs you 8, requires 2 total races. 5 influence is what you're going to get and a key. During your turn, you may discard 1 stack of cards from the council. Here is the Master of Magic. He's going to cost you 10, 3 total races, gives you 6 and a key. When you recruit, affiliate the ally of your choice from among those used, instead of the lowest valued one. Here is the Invoker. Costs you 8, only 1 race required, gives you 8. Take an extra turn after this one. That one is pretty impressive. I like that one a lot. Here's the Apprentice. Costs you 6, 3 different races needed, gives you 9. Add 1 stack of cards from the council to your hand. Here is the Illusionist. Costs 10, only 1 race required, gives you 9. You can exchange one of your locations for a different available one. Here is the Shellfish race, which are the Merchants. This is their ally card. The Shipmaster costs you 6, requires 3 different races, gives you 5 influence points, and gives you a key. You gain 1 pearl for each different race that you send to the council. The Slaver costs you 8, only requires 1 race, gives you 5 and a key. During your turn, you can discard 1 ally from your hand to gain 2 pearls. Here is the Landlord. It's going to cost you 10, requires 2 different races, gives you 5 influence points, gives you a key as well. Gain 1 pearl during each of your turns. Here is the Shopkeeper. Costs you 6, requires 3 different races, gives you 9, and you gain 1 pearl when you take him. Here is the Peddler. Costs you 8, only requires 1 race, gives you 9 influence, and you gain 2 pearls. And here is the Trader. Costs you 10, requires 3 different races, going to give you 9 influence, and you gain 3 pearls. And finally, the Ambassadors. There are no ally cards for the Ambassadors because they require 1 of each race to summon them or to recruit them. Every ambassador is going to give you 3 keys. This particular one costs 10 and gives you 3 influence points. He's the Elder, and you draw 3 locations, place 1 under your control using the keys from this lord, and make the other 2 available. Here is the Sage, also costs 10, gives you 4 and 3 keys. Draw 2 locations, place one under your control, and make the other one available. And finally, the Hermit, again, costs 10, gives you 5 and 3 keys. Draw 1 location and place it under your control using the keys from this lord. Moving on to locations, here we have the City of Mirrors. Copies the effect of an opponent's location at the end of the game. Here we've got Black Smokers. You may immediately switch this location with the location of your choice from the location deck. The Sanctuary. You get 3 influence points for each of your affiliated allies from the Jellyfish race plus 4. Here is the Chamber of Allies. 3 influence points plus the sum of your weakest affiliated ally from each race. The Oceanic Senate Assembly. 3 influence points for each of your affiliated allies from the Squid race plus 4. The Coral Barrier. 20 influence points minus the number of affiliated allies you have. The Chasm, 3 influence for each of your affiliated allies from the Crab race. Nest of Giant Clams, 3 influence for each of your affiliated allies from the Shellfish race plus 3. The Sargasso Fields, 3 influence for each of your affiliated allies from the Seahorse race plus 3. The Depths, X influence points, where X equals the number of influence points of your weakest lord times 2. The Barracks, 2 influence for each of your soldier lords plus 7. The Closed Tower, 3 influence for each of your lords with 1 or more keys. The Lost Tower, 3 influence for each of your lords without a key. Hydrozoa Reserves, 2 influence for each of your mage lords plus 6. Sargasso Silos, 2 influence for each of your farmer lords plus 5. The Throne Room, X, where X equals the number of influence points of your strongest lord. The Dockworks, 2 influence for each of your merchant lords plus 5. The Jail, 15 influence minus the number of lords you have. Parliament, 2 influence for each of your politician lords plus 6. And the Abyss, 2 influence for each guild you have at least 1 lord from, to a maximum of 12. So that's our card close-up for Abyss. I hope you enjoyed it. That's all the cards, all the lords, and all the locations in the game. As you can see, it is a beautiful game, and I really can't wait to get farther into our series for this. You can find me online at Board Offline. You can find me on Board Game Blender every couple of weeks or so. You can find me on BGG. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like my channel, please subscribe. And until next time, if you're bored online, board offline.